Can I tell you something I've noticed over the years? So many photographers are worrying about where they'll be in 5 years' time when they haven't even decided what they're doing this weekend. They're thinking about turning pro before they've even discovered what they really enjoy photographing. They're worrying about whether they'll ever be good enough before they've gone out and practiced the very thing they're struggling with right now. And I reckon that's one of the biggest reasons people get stuck. They become so focused on the destination that they forget to take the next step. But in reality, you don't need to have your entire photography journey mapped out. You only need to know what to do next. And that one simple change in thinking can make all the difference. Today, I want to show you why. So by the end of this video, I hope you'll stop feeling like you need to have it all figured out. Instead, you'll have a simple way of thinking that'll help you keep moving forward even when photography feels confusing or a little bit overwhelming. If we haven't met before, I'm Anthony. I've been a photographer for more than 35 years and a teacher for over 20. And if there's one thing those years have taught me is this: the photographers who improve the most aren't always the most talented. They're usually the ones who keep taking the next step, then the next one. Not massive leaps forward, simply the next step. So how about this? If you were going to drive from Cardiff to Glasgow, would you sit in your car refusing to move until you knew every single turn you were going to make? Of course not. At least I hope you wouldn't. You might know the general direction, like head north, but you'd start the engine, get that sat nav going, and then follow the first direction, then the next, and then the next. Photography is no different, but so many of us won't actually move until we think we know the entire route, and that's where we get stuck. If this is already striking a chord with you, this will definitely be of interest. If you'd like a safe space to continue your photography journey with like-minded people, then why not come and join us in our Photography Foundations community over on School. It's a really safe and friendly place to be. No ads, no algorithms, and no traditional social media nonsense. Just photographers from all around the world who are learning, practicing, sharing, and supporting each other. We have an active forum where members post their images, ask questions, and share ideas. There's a classroom with structured learning and feedback sessions, a members map so you can see who's near you, and regular challenges and discussions to keep your photography moving forward. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, the link is in the description, or you can use the QR code on the screen, and we'd love to see you there. Okay, so let's get back into it. So why do so many of us get stuck? I really don't think it's because we're lazy, and I certainly don't think it's because we lack talent. I think it's because we're trying to answer questions that we're not actually ready to answer yet. And I see it all the time. Someone has just bought their first camera, and they're already asking, should I shoot portraits? Should I specialize in wildlife? Or what's the best lens? They're worrying about questions that might not need answering for months, or maybe even years. But in the meantime, they're not doing the one thing that will actually help them find the answers. They're not getting out there and taking photographs, because here's the thing. You don't discover what you enjoy by thinking about it. You find out by doing it. Now that sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed how many fall into that trap. You don't find your favorite genre by watching YouTube videos. You find it by picking up your camera. You can't find out what focal length you love by reading specification sheets. You do it by shooting with different lenses and then looking at the results. And you don't suddenly wake up one morning knowing exactly what kind of photographer you want to be. You grow into it over time, one experience at a time. So clarity definitely comes from action, not the other way around, if that makes sense. So if you're waiting until everything makes perfect sense before you take out your camera, you could be waiting a very long time. Because if you think about it, the clarity you're looking for doesn't come before the journey. It comes somewhere along the way. And I can tell you that from personal experience. When I first picked up a camera, I had absolutely no idea where it would lead. I didn't know I'd spend more than 35 years enjoying this amazing hobby. I didn't know I'd end up being a wedding photographer or teaching photography. And I certainly didn't think I'd be sitting here making YouTube videos for thousands of photographers all around the world. Actually, that's really cool when you think about it. Speaking to people all over the world from my little desk right here. Anyway, none of that was part of some sort of master plan. It happened because I kept taking the next step. And when I took the next step, the next one became a little bit more clear. It became a little bit more obvious. And looking back, that's how most of the good things in my photography journey have happened. Not through having all the answers, but by being curious enough to take the next step. So what do you do when you feel stuck? When you feel like there's just too much to learn, too many cameras, too many lenses, too many opinions, definitely too many opinions, and too many people telling you there's a better way to do things. So what about this instead? Stop asking, where do I want to be in 5 years? And start asking, what's my next step? And that's it. Not the next 10 or the whole journey, just a very next step along the way. Because the next step is always much easier to see than the finish line, if there even is a finish line. Anyway, maybe your next step is finally learning how aperture works. Maybe it's going for a walk with your camera this weekend instead of watching another 3 hours of YouTube. Or maybe it's printing one of your photographs for the very first time. Perhaps it's having a go at portraits or street photography or maybe landscapes. The thing is, there's a million next steps you could take, so you're never going to get bored. And it's not because you've decided that's what you do forever, but it's because you're curious. And curiosity is a wonderful thing. It opens doors. It helps you discover what you enjoy. And sometimes it helps you discover what you don't enjoy. And that's absolutely just as valuable. I think we put far too much pressure on ourselves to make the perfect decision, to buy the perfect camera, to find our perfect genre, or even to take the perfect photograph. But photography has never worked like that. It's really just a journey of little discoveries along the way. One shoot might teach you something about light. The next may teach you something about composition, or it might show you a mistake you never even knew you were making. And every one of those experiences moves you forward, and not because they were perfect, because you got out there and did it. And when you think about it, the camera isn't your best teacher, experience is. Every time you press the shutter, you learn something. Sometimes you learn what works, and sometimes you learn what doesn't. And both are progress. So the next time you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, remember this. Don't think 5 steps ahead. Think 1 step ahead. That's all you need. So can I let you into a little secret? I still don't have my entire photography journey 100% figured out, even after more than 35 years. I'm still learning. I'm still experimenting. I'm still making mistakes. And I'm still discovering new things about photography and new developments as I go forward. And that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. There's always something new to learn. Always something else to try. Something else to see. And I think we can sometimes forget about all that. We look at photographers who are further along their journey, and we compare their chapter 20 to our chapter 2 as such. And that's never a fair comparison for yourself, because you don't get to chapter 20 without living through all the other chapters along the way. Every photographer you admire and look up to, every single one, has taken thousands of photographs that nobody will ever see. They've all had days when nothing worked. They've come home disappointed. They've wondered whether they're actually improving or not. And if they say otherwise, it's a big fib. The difference is they didn't stop. They kept taking the next step. And that's my suggestion for you. I don't want you to feel like you have to rush or have everything worked out ahead of time, or feel like you're falling behind. Because do you know what? Working it all out is half the fun sometimes, and you're not in competition with anyone else. The only person you should try to be better than is the photographer you were yesterday. So the next time you pick up your camera, don't worry about creating the best photograph you've ever taken. Just focus on learning one new thing. Maybe focus on learning focus. Anyway, try something new or seeing one new thing. That's how you grow your confidence and your experience. And before you know it, you'll look back and see just how far you've come. So let me leave you with this. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, or if you're wondering whether you'll ever get to where you want to be, ask yourself this one simple question. What is my next step? Not next month, not next year, but today. Because that one small step has the power to change everything. It might be literally just picking up your camera, trying a new setting, maybe going for a walk. It might be taking 10 photographs, or it might simply be spending 10 minutes a day observing the light. Whatever it is, do that. Then tomorrow, take the next step. And the day after that, well, you guessed it. And before you know it, those small steps become hundreds. Those hundreds become experience, they become confidence, they become knowledge. And one day, you look back and realize just how far you've actually come. Not because you had the best or the perfect camera, not because you had a perfect plan, and certainly not because you never made mistakes, but just because you kept taking the next step. And here's the thing, I don't think photography was ever meant to be a destination. I 100% think it's a journey, and for lots of us, a lifelong journey. There's always something new to learn, something new to see, something new to experience. And I think that's one of the things that makes photography so special. So don't be in a rush to reach some imaginary finish line. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and just keep taking the next step. If you want to share your journey with us, we'll be here waiting. And if you're still with me, let me know in the comments if all this makes sense. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Your support really is appreciated. And as always, thanks so much for watching, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.